We're just normal men.
What do you mean, normal men?
We're just innocent men.
Welcome to the RedAss Podcast, your home for Aggie sports, barbecue, music, and much more. And now your hosts, Rob White and Roy May.
Howdy, guys. Welcome back to the RedAss Podcast. Today is March 3rd. Happy Texas Independence Day for all that celebrate yesterday. I'm Rob White, fighting Texas Aggie class of 2014.
Yeah, I'm Roy May, fight Texas Aggie class of 2015. And one interesting note about Texas Independence Day, I picked that day as my retirement day from the Army. So yesterday I was retired for 4 years.
Woot woot.
I can't believe it's been 4 years. It's crazy how time flies, man.
Yeah, you're not even kidding. I was having a conversation with a couple of the guys. So this past weekend, we went up to Laramie, Wyoming on Saturday. And the last time we played in Laramie was 2023. I didn't realize it had been that long. We were all looking at each other like, I feel like we just played here. And they were like, no, we expanded the green room. Everything looks really nice in there. But it was such a stark contrast seeing these places because we hadn't been there in a while.
Yeah.
But that being said, life is great and good. We're glad to be back here. Lots of exciting stuff to get into later on the personal front. But for now, it's all about those Aggies.
Get into it, man. We'll start with men's basketball, right?
Yeah.
So kind of stumbling down the stretch a little bit, sitting at 9-7 in the SEC. I think, and this has kind of been the general consensus, and Joe Lunardi is kind of the dude for this, right? Is that we need to win 2 more games. Wherever those come, got to win 2 more. And that all starts tonight, 6 p.m. At Reed with Kentucky. I haven't seen a line or anything. I would assume it's probably a pretty tight line.
1.5 to us right now.
Yeah. So tight basketball game. I would feel a lot better if they would go ahead and get one of those wins out of the way right now.
Yes.
So you're looking at it to where Dominguez has gone basically cold for a month. Like he's basically been absent for a month. And the other guys are having a hard time just kind of backfilling the load, man. Because what he was doing earlier in the season was ridiculous. I mean, it was the exact opposite of what he's at now. I mean, it was way crazier than we ever could have imagined relative to his output. And then he just hit a wall shooting, and that's, and he's going to keep shooting, and that's really kind of the only way to get out of a funk. When you're not hitting anything, unfortunately, you got to keep jacking it up, right? So it'll be up to Bucky to limit his minutes basically, or keep putting him out there and try and get him some confidence back, because he just I was listening to radio earlier today, and this made a lot of sense. Obviously when you see a couple go through, it raises your confidence, but the other part of that is when your teammates see a couple go through, they know that they don't have to kind of pick up your rucksack and kind of fill the void that you are unfortunately creating because you're just so cold. So it kind of goes, I think it goes both ways, really. So if they can win tonight, you feel great about it because you get LSU to close out the regular season, and LSU is just not very good at basketball. And then your first round in the SEC tournament, you feel pretty good about that too. So winnable games, but you'd love to just get it out of the way tonight. Just get one of them out of the way, and then you have 2 games to win 1, right? Instead of 2 games to win 2.
Well, much easier in those situations, right? I mean, you need to go out there. Anytime you have your top shooter is just gone for a month, essentially.
Right. You just froze up a little bit.
Yeah, it's a tough deal. It absolutely is a tough deal. So you got to hope that the boys can find some confidence tonight against Kentucky, alleviate that issue, and then go on the road, see if you can't take down LSU, make that easy on yourself going into the SEC tournament.
Right. And it's, the mentality really has to be, this is the last game of the season. You have 3 last games of the season coming up, right? So it's dead focus on Kentucky. You got to win 2, but the reality is can't win 2 without winning 1. And so if you can go out and find a way to beat Kentucky, you've just made life a lot easier for yourself, but you're still in that last game mentality kind of thing. I don't necessarily expect them to make a very big run in the tournament by like the conference tournament by any way, many means, because, you're talking about, playing on consecutive days the way we play that's tough, man. That is really, really tough. So it wouldn't surprise me if they won the first round and got knocked out in the second, but we'll kind of cross that bridge when we get there because we still don't know the opponents, right? Because things can change. Um, but for me, it's just, you know, at times they look like a dangerous, like second weekend NCAA team, right? But their margin is razor thin. They've got to, they're physical, they're veteran. You got a lot of older guys on the team, but they're not dominant enough to just kind of coast into games. And I think they know that. I don't think that's a mentality that Bucky would really even kind of allow in the locker room kind of thing. But
Right.
it's there. I mean, they go as their 3-point shooting goes. I mean, they've got to make 3-point shots because you're generally undersized against every opponent you're going to play. So getting to the rim is, it's an issue. Now, we've seen some great play lately getting to the rim out of the guards of all people. AG is just still doing what he's doing, just a double monster.
Mm-hmm.
But having those guards be able to slash and get to the hoop, it's great, especially if threes aren't falling. You got to score somewhere, right? And there's no point in pulling up for 15-foot, mid-range jumpers because those are wildly ineffective unless that's just your shot, right?
Sure.
So for me, it's they've got to find it somewhere mentally because I know physically it's not there because we're at the end of the regular season. Their style of play, it's not that the talent is there. I'm saying like it's not there in the legs, man. I know they're tired. And everybody's tired at this point of the season, but when you play the style that we play, I would be willing to assume that it's exponentially, increased for us. But they got to find a way to play buckyball like we were playing earlier in the season. And I think if they can really dig deep and do that, I don't foresee it being a problem getting 2 wins in the next
No,
3.
you just got to find a way to get 2 wins out of your next 3 opportunities. And this was always supposed to be the first year of everybody trying to get their feet under. We were shocked seeing the progression, I think,
Absolutely.
especially early in the regular season. And I love that. And I hope that's something that we continue to see across all of his teams here in the future. But at least through this point in the season, getting through this Kentucky game, going on the road to Louisiana, if you can pull off those 2 wins, make life a little easier on yourself heading to the SEC tournament, you're already ahead of the curve on year 1, especially considering what you came in with.
Right. And again, if we went back to before the season started, after he put his roster together, is anybody sitting here honestly thinking like we're a tournament team? I think even I said it, like this is a great building year to figure out buckyball, give him the ability to have a product that he can go use to recruit, to move into the next year because the talent is not where you'd like it to be. It's these guys are talented, but again, this is thrown together at the last minute kind of roster.
Nope.
And so I think he far exceeded expectations. It's
No
just, it's just now that it's recency bias. Now that we've been playing well, we want to continue to keep playing well. So
Yeah.
I'd love to see him make the tournament. Maybe steal a game. You never know. I think right now they're slotted in as an 11 seed. They're in the last 4 buys, is what they call them. So that's then off you go, right? But it's just all about, like you say, you got to take care of your business, and they've kind of done it, but they've stumbled, down this stretch, and you've got great opportunities in front of you relative to who you're going to play to get the wins you're going to need to get in the tournament, and that's what it's all about. Like getting into the tournament is what it's all about. I know that every time they step on the court, they want to win. I know they want to win the SEC, conference tournament. I'm sure they do, but getting to March is what matters more than winning a conference.
Right. So talking about turnarounds, something I really wanted to look into. So let's take a peek at women's basketball real fast.
Yeah, so they were 1-8 in conference at one point, and now they have reeled off 5 straight. The only team in the conference that's on a bigger heater is Oklahoma. They won 6 straight.
Mm-hmm.
You're now at 7-9 in conference, I believe, and 14-11 overall. And all of a sudden, this team is. I mean, are we going to make the postseason?
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, you want to be playing your best ball at the end of the season, right? And you have closed out the regular season the best way you possibly could. And you have an opportunity against Auburn in the SEC tournament. So if you continue to show that you are on that progressive path, I don't see how they get left out.
Right. You get Auburn, which you would think you would beat them, right? We're the 10 seed, Auburn's the 15, and then you get a rematch with Ole Miss.
Yeah.
And you
2 teams that you've beat on this streak.
Yeah, and you beat you beat Ole Miss on the road, so there's no reason to think that at a neutral site you can't at least make that a game.
Right.
But for them, it's literally is. It's every game should feel like the last game of the season because they've got to beat Auburn. Like I think that is non-negotiable.
Yes.
I think beating Auburn and Ole Miss, I think you're in. I think if you beat Auburn well enough and you hang like with kind of lose at the buzzer or real tight at the end with Ole Miss,
It's that opportunity.
it's amazing because this team was left for dead a month and a half ago.
Yeah. It's impressive to see the turnaround that's happened under Joni. I mean, especially considering what we had seen last year, where I just felt like this thing was dead in the water and it stayed dead. Like there was no life whatsoever. Right. And then we've found ourselves in a situation where life has been found and it's growing and it's continuing to do well. I mean, you've taken down ranked teams in this stretch, which is awesome to see.
And on the road, and this is one of those where all of a sudden, Texas A&M is a lot more dangerous than their position in the standings probably suggests. I mean, they're like all of a sudden we've turned into like the classic spoiler, right? Nobody wants to see them because the heat of the throne. Like, you don't want to play anybody that's on a 5-game winning streak.
Absolutely.
And I might add, with nothing to lose.
Yeah.
I mean, really, they have nothing to lose because their record it's still sub 500, so they know what they have to do. It's just I think it's one of the better stories I've seen in a while, and it caught me completely off guard. I will 100% admit it because we talked about it 2 weeks ago. They had to get something going, and maybe they listened to this podcast. I don't know because they just flipped a switch, man. And I know what it was, but Joni deserves a ton of credit for it. The players obviously do, but when you're 1-8 in conference, you want to talk about an easy locker room to lose, right? And so it's been, I think it's been great. I think it's a ton of fun. I would love to see them definitely beat Auburn. And you'd love to see them beat Ole Miss. You do that, I think you're through to like the number 2 seed Vanderbilt. So I know that's a
tough game.
Monumentally tall task. At least you don't have to play in their stupid arena.
Right.
But you got 2 great opportunities in front of you, and the confidence should be sky high, not only because you won 5 in a row, but you beat these 2 teams.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, how to get it done, so just go out there and do it again.
Yeah, I'll be watching what they start tomorrow, right?
Tomorrow at 5 p.m.
Yep. Yeah, I'll be watching. That's for sure.
Yeah, we're keeping an eye on Joni Taylor and the Fighting Texas Aggie women's basketball team as they continue down the stretch here. Let's keep it with the women. Let's go look at softball.
Okay, well, softball. I mean, we touched on this 2 weeks ago, and I mean, nothing's changed because last week it was the, one more the Aggie Invitational or something like that, and it was, one of those not great quality opponents kind of thing. But they did what you would expect them to do. They won all 3 games.
They did lose 1 to Louisiana.
Excuse me, they won 3 in a row. Is that right?
They closed out the tournament with
3 wins.
6-inning win over Kennesaw State, 12-1 over St. Mary's, 5-1 over Louisiana, and in amongst that, a 5-inning perfect game against Kennesaw State.
Yeah, Kate Munnerlin. I watched that loss. That was upsetting to say the least.
Sure.
It was just wasted opportunity for wasted opportunity. But I don't have to sit here and bang on them. They know. But right now they're 15-7 and they're ranked 18th, which I think they're probably getting closer to the rank that maybe they should be, because we started off the season in the number 8 slot in the nation. But we've shown that. I mean, we've had spurts of really good pitching, but this sport comes down to pitching. That's it. This sport comes down to pitching. And you don't have Emily Kinney anymore, and you need somebody to step up, and you have people step up here and there.
Sure.
But when you look back at the schedule and you look at who you beat and who you've lost to, that's where it starts to give cause for concern because you can't seem to get over the hump against the better teams and the ranked teams, right? And that's where it goes back to pitching, man. Like you're getting into conference play. Yeah, you're about to play, outside of what Nebraska and Nebraska and Oregon, and there was one other. You haven't seen this. You haven't seen this talent level yet this season. At least not at UCLA. That's what it was. And you haven't seen this talent level for an entire weekend. I mean, you came close in Clearwater because you did play a handful of ranked opponents, but this is where the grind begins, man. And you're 22 games into this. If the pitchers haven't figured it out, are they going to?
Sure.
that's the question. And I'm not saying like this team is going to tank and be terrible by any means, but the pitchers got to figure it out. That's all there is to it. And that the perfect game, that's awesome. It's
Sure.
amazing. But you know, losing that Louisiana game was just inexcusable. So it comes down to pitching. That's all it is. Baseball's a little bit different, right? You
Hmm.
can have really dominant pitching, but you still got to, there's still things you got to do. But if you have a truly dominant pitcher, um, in softball, you can ride that a long, long, long way because softball it's a faster sport, faster diamond sport than baseball.
Right.
I feel there are a lot more opportunities to create runs,
Right.
right? Just because of the speed of the game. Everything's sped up, which means defenses can make more mistakes. But if you have speed, which we do have speed, the ability to create those opportunities for scoring, I think there's just more of them in softball as opposed to baseball. Baseball is just such a more deliberate sport. Softball games last 2 hours, sometimes less.
Yeah.
Um,
And as we roll on in this upcoming week, yeah, you get Louisiana Tech tomorrow night, and then we go down to San Marcos, where you will see a couple of games against Tarleton State, St. Francis, and one matchup against Texas State.
Yeah, so they've moved that tournament completely around because of the weather. I think they're only playing 2 games now. I don't think they're
Oh,
playing
okay.
they're only playing the Friday games. I heard that on the radio because Texas State went
Interesting.
ahead. Yeah, Texas State went ahead and changed everything up because they're absolutely expecting weather.
Yeah,
Um,
I just reposted it. I guess I just refreshed the page. That must have been a really recent announcement because now I'm just seeing, yeah,
yeah,
we play Tarleton at 11 a.m. and then Texas State that night.
yeah, and then you come home. Yeah, then you come home because they're not even like basically Texas State basically said like we're not going to deal with the weather, so
Fair
we'll
enough.
get some games in, and that's how it's going to be. And honestly, I don't mind that. When these little tournaments that they play, I don't mind that. But then they got then it's conference time, man, and you
Mhm.
start off with LSU. So
Yep.
they got 2 more games, maybe midweek next week. Oh no, I don't think they have a midweek next week, do they?
That's it.
It's these two on Friday, and then you got a whole week to get ready to start conference play. And the grind is absolutely real. Softball and baseball, the SEC grind is just stupid. The quality of teams in this conference, and we said it when it happened. We've talked about it before. In softball, you added Oklahoma and Texas. Are you kidding me? Those are like perennial softball powerhouses.
Yep.
And you just add those to a mix of a grind that already exists.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm still shocked that Missouri hasn't stood up a program, but
Yeah.
um,
You would think of all the programs you should have,
yeah.
that
Uh,
that's one that definitely needs to be in
so
there.
these are your last 2 warm games for LSU, and whatever you got. I mean, first of all, don't drop either of these games. Obviously, these
Sure.
are inferior opponents. You're not having to play Texas State, so you don't have to play that chip on their shoulder games. Like baseball has to do a lot with Texas State and the in-state schools
They're
that
playing. They're playing Texas State Friday night.
are they playing Texas? Oh, they're playing Texas State. Okay, I thought they're
Yeah, they
playing
are
somebody.
playing them. Yeah.
All right, well, that's like the chip on the shoulder game then. It's
Hmm.
just like baseball. All these Texas kids that didn't get recruited to play at A&M want to go out and show A&M that they should have gotten recruited,
Right.
right? Sam, SFA, Texas State. These are
UTSA.
UTSA. Yeah, we see these on Tuesdays all the time at Olson.
Sure enough.
They need to win both of these to feel good about. But then you do have there's no midweek, so you got all week truly to focus on LSU.
Yes. So.
So whatever you got to do to figure it out in the circle, by all means, please do.
Yep. You got some time to get it. 3 games between now and conference play. Go ahead and start building up on that.
Mhm.
Rock and roll.
Yep.
Um, Not quite the conference play over here, but looking at baseball. So we'll go ahead and touch on because we didn't really get to talk much last week. So real fast recap: you sweep Penn, do
Mhm.
so with 2 games being walk-off fashion, really dominant pitching, but
Yeah.
not a whole lot of
Yeah.
points scored.
Yeah. The
Burned.
the walk-off fashion was great, but I heard that after the Friday night game, early just ripped into him, like absolutely ripped into him. You could see the focus level was higher on Saturday and Sunday. And not that it necessarily resulted in like massive, not like the first weekend where we put up 5,000 runs in 3 games.
Sure.
Um,
No, we saved that for Lamar on Tuesday
yeah,
whenever we beat him 25-5.
yeah, yeah. That was getting that's like relieving stress almost when you score that many runs on a Tuesday.
Ugly. And
Um,
then you go to Imogene for the this college baseball series up in Dallas. You go 2-1 over the weekend. Two really good wins, one really bad loss. But something to keep in mind as we look at those games. You smoke out Virginia Tech. Then you go play number 1 UCLA, who not only defeated us, but they took care of all 3 SEC opponents they faced up there. They took care of us, Tennessee, and Mississippi State.
They are. I heard they were elite, but I don't sit around and watch UCLA baseball. Now I know.
They're an elite ball club this season. They're going to be probably an Omaha 8 team. They look excellent.
Yeah, they would have to have an absolute meltdown,
Right.
or just a ridiculous rash of injuries for them to not end up. I would almost say they're probably. I mean, you could lightly pencil them in to be in the championship series. Like
Very, very lightly, but they looked excellent. I mean, they took care of business against all 3 of us. Meanwhile, what did we do? We turned around and took care of our business. So it's a weird, weird deal there.
Yeah, for me, it's like I kind of got 2 takes on this. Winning 2 of 3 in the field. I think there's some validation that's a legitimate, postseason club. Maybe even regional or super regional level, not seeded necessarily, but able to win a regional and get on into the supers. Arizona State's a good program. Virginia Tech, we run ruled them. I don't know what Virginia Tech did the rest of the weekend, but the loss. So like. If you had to guess going in, you probably would have guessed 2-1 with a loss to UCLA.
Right.
Maybe 1-2, just because those tournaments in pro stadiums were just not always the best. But I think winning 2 of 3, there's a validation there. Playing teams that you don't normally look at or scout or anything. So being able to beat Vatech and Arizona State was good. UCLA loss, I'll call it useful. Because what it did is it exposed that like elite arms can punch holes in this lineup, like absolutely punch holes in this lineup.
Well, and what's really interesting to look at here is just measuring what we were last year versus this year, right? Up to this point in the season, 6-5 is where we were at last year through the first 11 games.
Well, we only beat Indiana in our little pro thing.
Well, hell, last year we didn't do that. The only team we beat in Houston was Rice. We lost to Oklahoma State 4-0. We lost to Arizona State 3-2. Lost midweek to Texas State. Lost midweek to UTSA. You smoked out Elon. You took 2 of 3 from Cal Poly. But really, you've struggled otherwise. Whereas this team is sitting at 10-1. They've done their job. They've gone out and won games early.
Right.
And outside of that UCLA game, not much to complain about.
No, and that's the thing. And there were some closer games against opponents that probably shouldn't have been as close. But the reality is, last year's team drops those games.
They have so far, yes.
Last year's team would have dropped those games, whereas this year's team finds a way to win.
Yeah.
And baseball's a fickle sport. We'll say that a million times between now and eternity, but it's true. Baseball is a fickle sport. Just because you're playing somebody out of the Ivy League or you're playing somebody out of the Southland Conference doesn't mean that day the hitters can't have an off day and that pitcher can have a great day.
Yeah,
it's but being able to win those tight games. You spend a weekend playing video game numbers, then you spend a weekend playing tight games and being in those situations, which will pay off later, right? Just being in those situations and having to make a critical hit, having to make the critical decision. Like that Penn guy made the lack of critical decision. His first 2 steps his first 2 steps were in. I was like, no way.
He's cooked.
Yeah, cooked.
Like,
man.
no, wrong direction.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting because I don't know the pitcher for UCLA. I don't know where he would stack up nationally. I would guess, well, really their whole pitching staff. Let's be honest.
Pretty solid.
Yeah, it's just kind of their whole team. But I think what we're also seeing though is this roster has some problems that they need to figure out when they have people get hurt.
Right.
I don't know what it is, and I saw a discussion topic about this a couple of days ago, and it's not, well, it was a bit of sky is falling conspiracy theory kind of stuff, but I'll break it down to a more logical approach. Here's the question, and I don't know the answer to this, and you probably don't either, but there's a question to ask. Is there something wrong with our strength and conditioning program? But you ask that, but then you go, well, we had injury issues under Slosh too.
Sure we did.
So it's
especially
and
down the stretch.
yeah, then you go, are we cursed? Of course. That's the next logical. Yeah.
Probably the most accurate of any of them, but that's okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
they built Texas A&M on an Indian burial ground, right?
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. I was going to say, I don't know what they built Olson over, but it ain't good.
Well, it's like clearly not, because obviously, I mean, these programs have been very good, right? I mean, you want to talk about cursed baseball programs? You can't look any further than Arkansas. Okay,
Yeah.
this is a perennially dominant baseball program that's never won a national title. And the moment that they were about to, the easiest possible pop fly to get after, three dudes around the ball and they whiff on it. That screams a curse.
Yeah. I think there needs to be an experiment in the offseason, probably there as well as here. You know, put out an ad like, I'm sorry if your pet passed. I'm sorry if your pet passed away. Like, let's go straight pet cemetery. Go get a dead cat. Let's bury it in the outfield, and then let's just wait.
Yeah, something.
Because there's something's got to be going on. But it brings up a semi-valid question, but it kind of gets shot down though when you think about that. It's happened over multiple coaches. So it's one of those things where Hakopian, it's a back thing, man, and back things can just last forever. My daughter just got a pinched nerve and she's in a world of pain, and it's taken forever. And if you want to talk about back pain, homie, you and I could sit down and talk for hours, and you wouldn't have to say a word. I live in a world of back pain.
I just got back from the chiropractor today. Life's a lot better. I feel that.
There you go.
I needed
But,
it.
but that's the thing. Like, I think the next time Hakopian comes back, he has to be 1,000%. Like, he can't be coming back at 90%. Can't be coming back at 95%. He's such a great player, but hurting him again gets you nowhere. Right? Sorrell is on the mend. It wasn't really a big deal with Sorrell. Cut like it was like one or two stitches, two or three, something like that. Just a couple stitches, nothing crazy. Hell, he played through it.
Yeah.
But yeah, when you can pull those guys out of lineups, like, we don't need him in Incarnate Word. We don't need him when we play Oakland this weekend. Okay. Same with Wesley Jordan. Yeah, same with Wesley Jordan. Like, we got to get these guys healthy. And part of me just wants to think, hey, go over to the football trainers. We had a moderately, like more than moderately successful years when it came to injuries in football, and it's been a long time since we did that, right?
Mr. Tommy Moffitt, will you please come down?
Well, not him. He'll kill him. But like,
give us some suggestions.
Yeah, but like their training staff, I'm sure football has a separate training staff than baseball.
Sure.
Then bring them over and be like, hey, is there anything we can do to, one, expedite the recovery, or two, what can we do to avoid these happening? The Sorrell thing that just happens, man. It got spiked. That's baseball, man. But the coping thing is just kind of concerning. But for me, my biggest thing is get him back. If he doesn't play the next 4 games, I don't care. If he's literally in the dugout in an ice bath for 4 games, I don't care.
Well, and the thing is, like, it's impressive to look at this team and say, they are 10-1, despite the fact we have not played at full strength since opening weekend.
Yeah.
And that's a good sign.
They're able to plug and play. And it's not like we've only been beaten up on losers. We beat Virginia Tech. We beat Arizona State. Incarnate Word is always a pain in the butt. So that's going to be a fun
right. We'll see
game.
What happens with Oakland. I'm most intrigued coming up with this Oklahoma series on the road, because Oklahoma has been very good.
Absolutely. I mean, we're not going to get anything out of Tuesday night. We're not going to get anything out of this weekend. And we may not even get 3 games out of this weekend, given the weather, but we wouldn't get anything out of it anyways. So if we lose a game or two, I'm not going to have my hurt feelings too much, because that's just more time for people to recover, right?
Sure.
Even though it's early in the season, give these guys time to keep getting right. Hakopian and Wesley Jordan.
And we're going to be definitely keeping an eye on that weather situation as it develops over this weekend, because we're getting into that roaring like a lion spring. It's about to come in hard in March.
Yeah. Well, and but I will say one thing I'd love to see this weekend is Weston Moss getting out on the bump again. Just flush that, right? Just fix it and flush it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I love the opportunity for him to get back out there on the bump. So that's where the weather kind of sucks for that. But for me, I'm with you. That opening weekend series is going. And I know it's early, but I feel like it's going to tell us a lot.
It's important. I think it's very important, because the way that Oklahoma's stacked so far this year, and they've played some top level teams along the way too, and they've looked good doing it. So they've built up, I think, a lot more rapport in that sense. So we have our work cut out for us, and it doesn't get much easier after that. You get Georgia at home, Missouri on the road, which is always an interesting deal, but then Vanderbilt at home. And then amongst all of our Tuesday games before we have to worry about Texas in April, which I'm just going to go ahead and say that might be the most hostile environment I've ever seen in my entire life, is Jim Schlossnagle returning to College Station.
Yeah, those dudes up the first base line, they may revoke their suspension and let them in for that one. When it was a couple guys got suspended or like kicked out of the ballpark, weren't they?
Yeah, that was against Florida, I believe.
Florida, that's what it was.
It was against Florida. They were getting after the coach there, which.
What's his name? Sullivan?
Yeah.
Yeah. Good coach.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, one more week for baseball, and one more week for softball. And then, then it's time to grind.
Yep.
Use these games. However many games you get to play because of this weather, use these games and just you're always tweaking, you're always figuring out your ball club because a ball club is a moving target. When you have a football team, a handful of games in, you know who you are, right?
Yeah.
You know that you're a running team, you know that you can't, cover, defend the pass, so you got to adjust to do that. Baseball, because of how people slump, or go on heaters, your team is a moving target throughout the entire season.
Right.
Like at no point is everything clicking on all cylinders really until Omaha.
Which is when you want it to be clicking.
Well, you have to have it clicking on,
or it's all done.
Well, probably really regionals and on.
Postseason.
Yeah,
you postseason. Playing your best.
Not conference tournament.
Postseason, you want to be playing your best ball.
Yeah, if you're playing your best, like if all facets are clicking as best as they can relative to your talent and coaching, then you're gonna be in the regionals. You're more than likely gonna be in a super regional, and then it's again, it's like any other postseason. Who's playing the best ball at the end, which is what's so fascinating going back to women's basketball. Just playing their best at the right time of the year. But playing your best is clicking in all, in all three phases of the game: offense, defense, and special teams like base running and
right.
Base running for me is not. I know it's offense, but to me that's kind of like a special team in baseball, right? Because it's runner on catcher.
Right.
To me, like pickoffs, that's more of a special teams thing as opposed to pitching. I know it's part of pitching, but for me, they're the oddities of baseball, is what make it so great, quite frankly.
Right.
But it's one of those things where you've got to be banging on all cylinders. You got to be as healthy as you can be. But I want to know what that looks like in Norman.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see where we're at in Norman. What's the positive parts of the club right now, and what obviously needs to be tweaked or something found out, or however you want to phrase it. That's really my biggest thing. Is it's one more week of warm-ups.
Yep.
Don't do anything stupid and drop one.
Yeah.
Treat it professionally, like it is a conference game. You're going, and you're going in to dominate whoever you're playing. Like treat it like it's there's what's the old don't worry about the logo kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't act like you're just going to walk in and roll over them because they're not in the SEC.
Right.
But
defend. You have to say defend Bluebell Park, Olsen Field for the next few weeks. Get those things all nice and sorted best we can.
Most important thing they can do is defend home court. And even though it's at the end of the season, if men's basketball can do that, then again, like we said, if you can win this one tonight, you got two opportunities to win one more.
Yeah,
so that's 6 p.m. tonight. I will have that on faux show.
Yeah, I'm going to be very busy this afternoon. I've got to go do wedding counseling here in a little bit as we get.
He's not in trouble, by the way. It's just a mandatory thing.
It is a mandatory thing. It is one of those things we have to do. Make sure that we're both on the same page, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, I put it on my calendar. Hold on. Let me find it.
I did my little personal worksheet to get it started.
You got homework, man.
Oh, I had homework. Like, it made me think. It was a lot for a handful of pages.
Hold on. I thought I put it in my calendar. Hold on a second, because I think I'm right.
Oh, let's see.
This should be release week for y'all, right?
Indeed. So, if you are a person, what's that?
No, I put it on Sunday. I was looking forward in the week. I put it on Sunday to say this is release week.
No. Yes. So our new album, Comancheria, officially drops this Friday or 11 p.m. Thursday night if you're feeling extra spicy.
I'm,
It's
I'm
coming
going to tell
out.
you right now. I'm going to tell you right now because I have been able to hear these songs well in advance, and I have kept them secret. I have been a good boy, and that's why I'm entrusted to be able to listen to these ahead of time. This album is going to blow your brains out, man. It is an amazing music, and the title track, it might legitimately be one of my top like 30 country songs ever. Like ever. I've been listening, to country since the 80s. I listen all the way back to about the 60s or 70s. That's my catalog of country music that I listen. Well, I probably stopped actually somewhere around 2005. When Nashville just took over Texas country.
Fair enough.
But this, I'm telling you right now, this should be the first thing you listen to on Friday when you pull up your Spotify. I'm telling you, go to the title track, listen to the whole album, listen to all the music. That's not me being. He didn't pay me to say this, but
No.
I'm telling you, and I'm a music like lover. Like music is life for me. When it's quiet and there's no music, I get antsy. So
Yeah.
it's just I'm telling you, y'all go wherever you stream music and listen to this on Friday. And it is, and I guarantee you, once you listen to it, you're going to listen to it again on Friday. That's my say.
And so we're
Is it?
very excited for it to come out. As soon as it does come out, we are going to drop a link as well. I think we're trying to sort out the parts and pieces on it, but we are going to drop a link for the vinyls because we will be having vinyls.
Well,
Right?
and make sure on all the RedAss socials,
Yes, we will.
drop all the links for the music on that as well. We'll put a post out.
Yes, I will be
And you should be
sharing.
following Carson Jeffrey on socials anyways,
He
but
should be. And he's most active on Instagram. He really doesn't play around much on the old X machine anymore. But if you can, feel free to follow us on there. That would just make my life so much better because I would like for this band thing to be more full time and make my life a little more fun. And if this album helps get us over the hump, even better. But we're very excited for all of it. We started recording it in 2023, finished wrapping it up in 2024. And so we've been sitting on this record for the better part of the last 2 years. So if you are a music lover, if you're a big fan of Texas country, if you're a big fan of storytelling, we would love for you guys to please check that out for me. That would just make my whole day. And we all
what te-
recorded on it. Every single one
what
of
te-
us did.
what Texas country used to be, telling stories.
It's telling stories, Texas musicians recording Texas music. This was not done in Nashville. This was not done with a bunch of dudes that are out there that do this for a living, just sit down and record their session. This is us. Feel free to go check it out. It would just make my heart
Very,
full.
very exciting.
Very exciting. So, yes, that is coming out this weekend. And in support for that, I will be on the road in Stephenville and Lubbock. So, we are opening up for Randall King on this run, but an opportunity to play some new songs. We've started bringing in some new ones from the record. So, those are going to be played live. So, if you are in Stephenville or Lubbock this weekend and you want to come see us, I will happily have you come along and we will say hi. But be sure to follow us on our socials. That's Rob the Slapper 14. Oh, it's just Rob the Slapper on Instagram and on X. Be sure to follow Roy May 15 on X and Roy May Jr. on Instagram, as well as the RedAss Podcast. Be sure to give us a like. Be sure to follow us on YouTube. Hit the little bell icon so you know when this thing goes up. And yeah, we will be sure to include all those fun little parts and pieces.
And let us know if there's anything you'd like us to cover. And if you ever have questions that you want us to answer on the show, please, by all means, send them in to any of our socials. Any of them, we'll check them all. So wherever you send it, that's fine.
Right. Shoot us the questions. We didn't have anything today, but we will happily take any in the future. There's plenty of excitement to get into very soon with the regular season and baseball. And I did want to kind of wrap this thing up.
Conference playing baseball and softball, and it's
Yes.
damn near tourney time for basketball.
Yes. And I did want to just say one little thing. We are not a political podcast, but just prayers for our world as we enter a very interesting time.
Well, and I mean, they're open, I think, till 7. So if you haven't voted, the primaries are today, whether you're Democrat or Republican, the primaries are today. So Yeah, I worked out in this shirt. There was no way I'm putting the sticker on. I would have fallen off because I'm sweaty and gross. But
Fair enough.
I'm really glad you can't smell this podcast because I stink to high heaven. Yeah, I voted as well though. So just make sure exercise your civic duty. Yeah, I look at it as kind of like the 2% thing. You know, if you don't stay to the end of the game, you can't complain. If you don't vote, you can't complain.
Well, like I said, my dad forever and always. Then, like I said, I don't cuss much on this podcast, but Dad always said, if you don't vote, you don't have a right to bitch. Well, as soon as I got out of the polling location, was driving home, I called Dad and I said, I reserve my right to bitch. He goes, all right, appreciate that.
Very good. I like that.
All right, guys. I am Rob White. This is Roy May. We're the RedAss Podcast. Take care. We're beating the hell out of Kentucky, LSU, SEC tournament, Oakland. Incarnate Word tonight. Everybody is getting beat. I don't care who it is. We are not conservative in that sense. We are extremely liberal in how we give out ass handing. So this is the RedAss Podcast, guys. Take care. We'll see y'all next time. Gig 'em.